Back again, and welcome back to my home data center. Um, I'm going to try to do some more uploads weekly and not maybe once every 3 4 weeks, but it all depends if I have time to make videos. So today you're lucky because I have some time to make a rather short video. So yesterday I basically went over all of this stuff, and I didn't notice until after uploading it that it's all screwed up, the orientation and whatnot. Because I thought the aspect ratio would have been the correct widescreen aspect ratio, but for whatever reason it was like this and not like that. So my apologies for that. So this time I'm going to make sure that the video will be shot so that you can actually see it correctly and not me sideways. So anyways, today will be, like I said, hopefully a rather short video. Today we're going to look at the IBM System X 3850 X5. So for those of you who haven't seen it in my last video, or sorry, heard in my last video, I plan on getting, actually I did buy, so not plan, I did buy another one of these systems. I won't reveal the specs yet for the second system, but just a hint, it's similar to this. So the plan is, I already have, if you look closely, I already have the rails in the cabinet for that second one to come. So once the system comes, oops, rails come out like this, and I plop the server in and slide it in. Also, you're lucky because today I got in from FedEx. These are the special QPI cards. Sorry, not cards, cables that are designed to link two of these systems together to make one big system. So let me actually just unravel this for you. Give me 1 second. This is kind of a two-hand job. All right. There we go. So I'm going to be careful because these cables are somewhat fragile. So I'm very careful what I do here. So if you look closely, let me go over here. All right. So basically this is a really big cable. Comes along there and there. So basically one end has this latch. So when you slide it in, I'll show you that also how these connect. It says, of course, handle with care. Connectors are fragile. So on one end, there is this proprietary whatever layout. And on the second end, it's the same thing. The way this works is there's actually 4 of these cables. I'm just showing you one because the other 3 I have that's still packaged in that box there. So until I get the actual second IBM system, I won't be able to unpack them just yet. So I just thought maybe just show you one of them, how they look. But yeah, it's a big cable. So the way this works is when you have 2 systems like this guy, 1 and 1 together, they call it a 2-node system. So essentially you're expanding from 1 to 2, and what happens is instead of going from a simple 4-socket system, now you have a 8-socket system. So it's a lot of power. And don't forget also, it's going to be that 2 systems will be running at the same time. So if you want to do something like this, consider power, because power is a factor, because it's going to take quite a bit some power. But for me, I don't really plan on running it 24/7. It's just more of a test, if you would really like to call it. But yeah, anyways, the way it works is, like I said, the 2 of them are connected with these cables, 4 of them in total. But what also you have to do in order to make this work is you have to make sure that on each system, IBM recommends that the configuration on the 2 machines are almost the exact same thing. So same CPU. Well, first of all, you have to have the same CPUs. That's one thing for sure in both systems. So if you have a 4 CPU configuration on this guy, 4 CPU on that guy, if you have Xeon E7 whatever something, you need to have the same on the bottom. Also, I'm not entirely sure about this, but they do mention that the memory configuration should be the same. So if you have 32 gigs of RAM on this guy and you have 4 riser cards, it has to be the same on the second one. So I think basically it's going to be an exact duplicate of whatever you have here. With a few exceptions. For example, I don't think you need to have a whole array of drives on the second one. You could just only have one. And also, when we go in the back, this system has some PCI cards, including some 10 gig NICs, gigabit NICs, and fiber channel. You don't. I'm pretty sure you don't need to have the same thing on the second system, because what's going to happen actually is once you have it all connected together and whatnot, there's only going to be one primary system. So all your video and whatnot, all the sorry, how can I say this? Yeah, the video and the main management from the IMM is going to come from one system, either the top or the bottom one. So yeah, basically, there's a whole document talking about it, explaining what to do, but that's basically the gist of it. So if you are doing something like this, I would highly recommend that you read that document. I'll see if I can link it in the description below where I found it and where I read it. And also, I'll put in the part numbers for these cables. Actually, I could even just read it to you. Just be careful, I don't want to break anything. So these are IBM part number 59Y4797. Okay, so look up that part number if you want to get this cable, or at least the whole 4 cables. Now, there is also a kit that IBM has, which is actually kind of hard to find, where it includes those cables and also cut. I by accidentally I stopped the video recording. It's kind of hard to film on an iPhone 8 Plus. Darn phone is already big as it is. But what I was about to say is, yeah, IBM sells a kit that includes those 4 cables, as well as some other small stuff, like I believe they call it the EIA latch disabler or something, and a few things basically, but really they're not necessary. I can see if I can link the kit number and whatnot in the description as well. But for the time being, I just need those. Well, at least anybody, whoever wants to do what I'm doing, they need the 4 cables and a pair of similar configured IBM X3850 X5s. So now also, I'm not just going to be talking about the QPI cables, but we're going to go over the system a little bit. I know some people, of course, know the system inside out, like my dear viewer, or something, not a viewer, am I saying? My dear fellow in Denmark, if you're watching this video, well, hello from Canada. I enjoy his videos. His name is Morten, and he has his own YouTube channel. It's My Playhouse. And basically, I actually forgot also to mention how I got inspired to get all these IBM systems. Well, basically, I was watching his videos for quite a bit some time, and based on what he explained and what he said about IBM servers and whatnot, I thought, they are pretty good systems, and I saw they are, really good, especially these ones. They are really good quality. So I said, you know what? When I started doing all this, I said, let me get a hold of a few IBM servers. So 2 years later, I have these wonderful IBM machines in my cabinet. But today we're going to look at the X3850 X5 in some detail, and I just talked about those QPI cables. So I believe Morten actually didn't try this, so if you're watching this, Morten, go ahead and get a hold of some cables and see if you can do what I can do. But yeah, anyhow, so let's look at the server. So the front of the server, it's your traditional IBM look, the honey hive, comb, whatever look to it. As usual, you have an optical drive, some USB ports, a light path diagnostics panel. So in case anything happens, or any failures or whatever, it's gonna get detected here. As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff, including power supply, This means the power supplies are overloaded, I believe, CPU and a bunch of other stuff. So really handy when things go wrong, and you can refer to this, and also the IMM for system logs. Anyways, here you have your front disk drives. These are actually 8 of them, but originally this system came with a backplane for 4 drives, and I purchased an extra backplane to expand to 8, just because I have on these ones 8 drives. So you know what? I said I have the extra 4. Let me get the backplane, put it in, and fill it up with 8 drives, and that's what I did. So yeah, anyways, also, if you saw in the last video as well, this front panel comes off. So let me see if I can get this off. It's kind of hard to do it with one hand, but I'm able to do it. There you go. So basically you have 2 fans. They're removable as well. So if you look closely, you pull this down, and that's stuck. All right, so fan comes out, and yeah, it's dusty because I did have this running for a little bit, and you could get kind of a sneak peek of how it looks inside. But yeah, so there's 2 fans in the front, and they're hot swappable, of course, because they have an orange tab. Anything, I believe, that's orange in the system is hot swappable. So the fans are hot swappable, meaning if the server is running and one of them dies, you could replace them on the fly without shutting down the whole system and replacing the fans. So that is, of course, a neat feature. The hard drives actually, or I should, yeah, the hard drives in the front are hot swappable, of course. Anything with servers like this, even this stuff, if one drive goes dead, you can put in another drive, and even with the server running, it's gonna take the new drive, and the RAID controller is going to do all the magic behind, rebuild the array, fix the drive, whatever. So yeah, anyways, I forgot to mention also here in the front, the very front, this is the power button right there. This is a status indicator light, and this is a warning light. And usually when this comes on, then you pull this out and see what error is happening or whatever. So yeah, let's go to the back of the server. I won't be removing the server out of the cabinet as it weighs a ton, and I'm currently alone, so I don't have help. I know Morton was strong enough to lift this actually in the cabinet, in his cabinet once, actually twice, because the first time I remember he put the rails in wrong, so he had to take the system out, put it back in again, and yeah, it was a disaster. You can go watch that video. Actually, it's the one where he was rack mounting this server, this same server, of course his own, not mine. But yeah, anyways, here's the back of the server. You have 2 power supplies, redundant, of course. Orange gives it away, and you have 7 PCI slots. You have an X16 for potentially a graphics card, an X8 slot which is compatible with X4, X2, X1, another X8, and all the way up to here. So yeah, it has quite some expansion. Right here, actually, this is where those QPI cards will come in handy for me. The way this works is this wrap card, these 2, there's 2 of them. One here and one here, and basically since this server is fully populated with 4 CPUs, these 2 cards need to be installed. But once I have the second system right under it, what's going to happen is I'm going to take this card out like so, and as you can see, that's the same ends, and those QPI cables that are there are going to connect way down there, far in there, all 4, and it's going to be in a special configuration where the 2 of them, where the 2 servers are linked together as one big server. So yeah, that's definitely something I'm looking forward to. So we just put that back in there. So yeah, it's kind of delicate, this stuff, so don't take it out very often if you don't have to. I'm just showing it for you guys. So yeah, anyways, there's 2, they call them the QPI wrap cards. So there's 2 of them there. There's some on board Ethernet. This is the IMM, and these are 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. There's a VGA port for a monitor. This is a serial port, and there's 4 USB ports. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the back of the unit. So let's go to the front, where I'm actually going to pull it out and open up the case for you. I did say I was not going to remove it, but I am going to pull it out and show you a little bit in detail inside the server how it looks. So let's see if I can do this one-handed. Yeah, I can. See? Haha! it's working today. Oh, maybe I have to cheat a little bit. Sorry, a little bit two-handed because this thing is heavy, and my other servers are okay. Give me 1 minute. I have to do this two-handed. Sorry. There we go. And for some reason, that's coming out. No, I don't want you to come out. There we go. I'm gonna be careful when opening this up because this is a heavy system, like I said. And yeah, I don't want this falling to the ground. So, oh, before I remove the cover. So, anybody who knows IBM, they recognize this layout already, no matter what server. So, IBM has a good tendency to label like pretty much every single thing in the server. So even here, if you look here, light path diagnostics, all the possible, or at least all the possible errors that could show up, they provide you with details on what the heck it's all about, without going on the web and whatnot. So that's very nice. Here's the layout of the whole server: CPUs, memory cards, PCI Express ports, and power supplies over there. Yeah, they call them this. They call it the I/O board. Yeah, basically it has everything. It really, even I'm pretty sure an amateur, they just look at this and they'll be able to do whatever has to be done. So yeah, traditional IBM, very good. I like it. So basically, there's either something that goes wrong or something that I have to do. There's enough explanation. So let me see if I can do this one-handed. It's a heavy case cover. Oh yeah. That is heavy, even for a lid. That kind of hurt. Anyways, so here's the inside of the server. You can see right away there is sorry, not 4, I can't even count today. There's 8 memory riser cards, and this server currently is configured with 128 gigabytes of RAM. These are 8 gigabyte blocks, and there's 2 in each card, so do the math and you'll see that adds up to 128. So there you go. So 16 per riser card, and yeah, 120 total. So let's see if we can close this. So yeah, basically when you close the server, when you close the memory card, this latch has to go over this little latch here. See, cannot be like this. It has to be over. Yeah, like that. And then you slide it like that, clicks in place, and it's locked. And there's 8 of them. Also, if you look here, you're able to actually, this is a nice feature of IBM. Let's say you have a bad block of memory or whatever. What happens is it's going to show an error on the front on the light path diagnostics board. But what's going to happen is once you pull the power off, there should be some residual power on the board because there's a little battery, some sort of battery that powers these lights, these LED lights. So in case something happens, once the server's powered off and you take it apart like this, you're gonna see easily where the problem is. So for example, if it's in this card, riser number 4, just open it up, and because you see it's gonna show orange, that comes up like that. And this is that battery I was talking about, and what you can do is there's this little switch here that you hold down, and if there's any problems on the card, these LEDs, one of them at least, or a few of them would light up, showing you which DIMM is busted. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong here, so they're not lighting up. Even when I hold it, if I hold the switch down, the button down, nothing. So, of course, it's correctly configured and there's no problems. And once you're done with the card, you just take it, put it in like that. Like I said, easy to put it back in. It's not too much of a big deal. Now, why is this complaining? What the hell? I'm trying to figure out what the freak is it doing. Come on, go back in place. There you go. And it's back in place. There you go. I wouldn't take them apart very often if I had to. Just I'm showing it for you guys. So, chair's in the way. Let's get the chair out of the way. There we go. Alright, so continuing on with the overview. Here is the rear of the back plane of the drives. So you see all those drives they connect to a backplane. It's a SAS backplane, and down there you have the connector that goes up and into the RAID card. It's actually hidden way over here. This is the Serve-RAID M5015 RAID card, and the way you access this card is you actually have to lift up the CPU cover tray. This comes up like so, like this. You put that off to the side, and yes, there's the 4 heat sinks for the 4 massive Xeon CPUs, big powerful CPUs. And if you look way down here, I might also just pull the card for you. Here's the RAID card. Serve-RAID M5015. 6 gigabit SAS, battery, everything. Of course, it's an LSI card, but just rebranded for IBM. So it's really nice that IBM has this little dongle thingy here to make it easy to pull the card out and do whatever has to be done. And of course, I have to actually get another one of these SAS cables to connect to the second port. Anyways, that's of course all noted, and I will do it, don't worry. So continuing on, here are the 4 massive Xeon heat sinks. So for these CPUs, the area already, the IHS area, heat sink spreader, is already a big area. So these heat sinks definitely whack a punch when cooling them down. I don't even think of water cooling something like this, because I mean, you look already at the server, it's already condensed, you know, past the point of no return. So they already try to put a lot of stuff in a 4U server, so that's kind of hard to water cool without doing some weird modifications. But anyhow, I won't be removing the heat sinks because I do have this machine in a working state, so I don't want to remove the heat sinks. But essentially, yeah, there's CPU under, heat sink goes on top, there's some compound, and yeah, that's it. So you can actually look at Morton's video. He did remove one of them, and he did show the CPU. So if you want to look at that, go for it. Over here in the back, there's 2 USB connections. So basically, I actually have, since I have ESXi installed, I put it on a thumb drive, plugged it in there, and the server boots from that thumb drive. And it doesn't actually boot from these drives. These are just for storage, for VMs and whatnot, and that contains the hypervisor itself. So yeah, and now you can actually see in the back, these are the 2 big fans. Looks like 120 millimeters, yeah, for the power supplies. Essentially, what servers, how it works is the airflow comes from the front and it gets sucked in and blown out the back. So the front, where I'm here, usually is considered the cold side, and the back is usually warmer. Yeah, so there you go, that's how that works. Anyways, this comes back on like this. I can put that back on like that, put the latches in if it wants to go in. Yeah, the latches are in. And now the last thing is these PCI express cards. There's 7 slots, and like I noted in the back, the first one's an X16 and the rest are what appears to be X8 slotted slots. But currently I just have 3 cards installed. These are actually 2 of them are for networking, and one of them is for fiber channel storage. This one, I believe, yeah, this one is a quad port Intel card. This one is a, yeah, this one is the Emulex 10 gig NIC, and this one is the Emulex 8 gigabit fiber channel card. So yeah, quite a bit of expansion that I have going on here. But yeah, anyways, so 2 for networking, 1 for fiber channel. Yeah, and that's that X16 slot I was talking about for possibly a GPU. And also, one more thing, if you look right about there, there's 2 headers for a GPU, for external power for a GPU. So if you have a kind of a beefy card that needs some external power, you could power it off from these connectors. This is a 6-pin connector, and that's an 8-pin connector, but be aware that these are female ends. So what you would need to make this work is a male-to-male GPU cable, power cable, because the ones you get today are, I believe, female-to-male, male-to-female, but you need a male-to-male cable it's, I don't know why did IBM did it like that, but that's how that's configured. But yeah, so anyways, PCI stuff, nothing much fancier than that. Of course, that's CMOS, that's a CMOS battery right there. And I mean, the other stuff, you know, you have the fans, so you can even remove it, yeah. Of course, orange meaning it's hot swappable. And yeah, it's a little bit dirty because the system was running. So now this goes just down, back. Ah, come on. There you go. Did I get that in? Yeah, don't remove the fans very often if it's not necessary, because then you get problems where you can't really get them back in. But no, they're inside, so I'm good. Yeah, that's good. So there you go, fans. And yeah, just basically, this was an overview of the IBM X3050 X5. Like I said, I have ordered another one of these systems, and I'm waiting for it to come in. And I already got the QPI cables to link the systems together to make one big massive 8-socket server. So I was planning on that for a while, and I finally decided to make it happen. So like I said, I'm waiting for the server to come in so I can configure it and everything. Oh, and I forgot to mention one thing. When you are doing a configuration like that, you have to make sure that everything firmware wise is the same exact version. So the BIOS has to be the same on this system as the second system. The FPGA firmware has to be the same on this one and on the second one. Everything. So if you use what's it called, BOMC for updates, basically the way it works is you go on the IBM site, you download the BOMC creator, it's tools creator, and what it does is it downloads all updates for your system depending on the one you selected. And once you are at the system, you could either put in, you can actually flash that firmware update stuff on a USB key or an ISO image, and you can possibly load it up using the IMM on the server. I actually haven't tried that, but I do have it on a USB key, so that's already prepped. So once the second system comes in, I'm going to make sure that all the firmware and whatnot is the same. So yeah, especially if somebody who's watching wants to do that, don't forget to do that. But yeah, so that's basically an overview of this big bad boy. So like I said, I don't plan on running it for every single day for the rest of the year. It's just, you know, every now and then I want to try a few things, you know, test and whatnot. I'll run it. As Morton calls it, this is just a weekend server, project server. But yeah, so of course, like I said, I hope everybody enjoyed the video, including you, Morton. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did watch the video, thank you for sticking around. And I hope that you get to do the same thing that I'm doing, because I'm just curious to see what you would do to make it happen, and what you would want to do with it after you do make it happen. But actually, also one more thing before I go, I forgot to mention it in my last video. I have some air conditioning for the garage I'm in, because of course, what data center does not have some sort of cooling? So I have my trusty window air conditioner, and it's blowing some good cold air, because outside it's kind of hot. I believe it's 40 with the Humidex today, so this is definitely helping some stuff. It's now blowing at 22 degrees Celsius, and yeah, so of course here in North America this is common. In some places, if you don't have one that goes on the wall or anything, you have it in the window. And I did remember watching Morton's video, and I keep mentioning Morton. But I remember watching his video explaining that in Denmark, at least in Europe, this is not really common, having window air conditioners. But his actually, and it's interesting how he set up his cooling solution. He has basically a fan, an exhaust fan, that takes in the cold air, I believe, if I got it right, from the outside, and blows it into the data center, and does all the cooling and whatnot. Apparently, it's been working for him, so A1. But I had the option of getting this guy, so you know what? I said it actually does work really well. Especially when I was running the folding at home on this guy, it got hot inside, so running that definitely helped. But anyways, hopefully the other IBM system comes in, and we can do a video about that, and I'm pretty sure some of you will be interested, so I won't forget, and hopefully I can get some videos posted daily, maybe. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I know this isn't much in terms of fanciness or whatever, editing skills. I suck at it, I know. Hopefully I get better at it. I might throw in some editing, I don't know, it just depends on the time I have. But yes, like I said, please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.